Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome on stage Dave Kindig and Kev Dog. Woo! It's pitching wide. Here they are. Yeah, guys, it's so good to see you guys. Okay, we're going to get straight to, while you're sort of settling in and getting ready. Dave, I've got to go straight to the suit, dude. You don't strike me as a suit guy.
It's Halloween.
So
Surprise!
I did not dress up as Pee Wee Herman. I actually do like to wear nice suits at least one day of the SEMA show. But just to make sure you guys know I'm still edgy and kick-ass, I'm going to go ahead and prove it right now.
Dave, this isn't the stage we get undressed. That's the panel later.
Just the bottom, baby. Just the bottom.
Oh, no. What are you doing?
What does it say? Bitchin' forever. There you go. There you go.
If you ain't got some, get some. The rig's just out front.
So Kev Dog, apparently you've got the matching underpants. Go.
Oh, no. There's kids here.
Do you know what? This is a problem, okay? Because these guys, great guys, and I love spending time with them. I've been given a cue card of questions, and we're going to ignore them. We're basically going to talk about fashion.
Sweet, I love it.
No, we should stick to the cue cards. And I do have a question. Dave and Kev Dog, your approach to car design is often described as visionary. Could you share a project that challenged your creative skills and push you to think outside the box to create something exceptional?
God, it's always one of them. I could count many from the Mercedes to the Pantera to, I think we do it with every single build that we do.
I would have to agree exactly with that. All of them are a challenge. Building a classic truck, step side, putting the same square box on a very organic truck. So we got kind of to the point where we didn't want to do that anymore. We actually started rolling out our own bed sides, very organic. So the F50 has that sculpted bed, the GMC, and more to come. The 51 Ford had that.
Yep.
So it's just something that we really are kind of passionate about. We want to build something that makes sense, maybe the way they should have done it, but just a little bit better fit and finish and quality and smoothness, and it makes sense.
I think with these days is, especially with as fast as technology is moving, being able to integrate that into our builds and still keep them looking very classic and timeless. I mean, Dave has a very timeless design style, and I think that's very important, and I think that's helped Kindig Design through the years, but you still want to incorporate the latest and greatest technology.
Yeah, I think there's one thing I love looking at, obviously, the cars you do, and you talk about that timeless thing. And, from a design perspective, that's actually harder to do than adding stuff. How do you find that balance?
Well, I've always had a policy, and I've always had the saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think a lot of people get into too many trends that are just the here and now, flash in the pan kind of things. And then you see somebody do it that's a good builder, good quality, maybe something that's just a little bit more trendy, and then a lot of people follow that same trend. What I try and do is I try and incorporate in those ideas and those trends, but to make them make sense and make them still look good, say 20, 30 years from now. So just because you can doesn't mean you should. So taking some design elements from supercars, for instance, and putting them into a classic truck, taking old hot rod technologies and style cues and putting them into something a little bit more modern. I think that there's a good balance that you can do that, but a lot of times, using trendy things and expecting them to last forever doesn't last. We do know one thing: classic cars are still classic, right? So we want to make sure that we keep those cars classic.
So as a design duo, obviously it's a collaborative process, but often it's led by one person. Do you guys fall out?
No, he usually just brings the drawings down and says, build this.
Oh, it's a dictatorship.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. He sits in his posh suit in his glass office. I get it.
Yeah, from get back to work down there.
I have a helicopter coming. No, I'm totally kidding. No, I think what's really cool is I talk and listen to my clients, and I try to build stuff that is their taste, their colors, their everything. I try and add my style sense, I guess, to it. But when I get the rendering done, or when I'm still doing the renderings before we even start building, I'm constantly in contact with Will and Kev and all of the guys, because I do appreciate their input, and I want their ideas to come out on the canvas. We're building this canvas together. So a lot of times, I'll draw up an engine bay, what I want it to look like, but I'm not going to tell them where to put the seams for the panels for the core support versus the side panels. I let them figure that out. And when they have ideas, I want them to speak up. I want them to bring it to me. And a lot of times it's a collaboration. I give a direction and a theme, and then my guys kind of fill in the blanks and add to it.
And I think that's one thing that really works is the design is, he gets what he wants, but it's very fluid when it comes to the details. It's like what the car asks for or what works best for the car or how we can execute it in the best way. That's what the car gets. As long as the design is 90% Dave Kindig, it all works out.
Well, it's interesting you talk about that because in our world, a lot of people stay design specific. You know, they are Broncos or they are supercars, but you guys have somehow managed to keep it eclectic. You know, how is it to transition from a pickup to a sports car to a classic car? You know, those skills are transferable, but how do you change that mindset?
Well, I always say that it's very easy. And the thing is that because of the crew that we have and the way that we've worked together for so many years, that it doesn't matter if it's a foreign car, an older foreign car, a newer foreign car, an older classic, or a newer American vehicle. It doesn't matter. We are going to do the same job. We're going to make sure that the fit, the finish, the quality of the work is top notch from top to bottom, inside and out. And what's nice about that too is because we do so many different styles of vehicles, it keeps it real and it keeps it fresh for us. Because if you were just doing the same thing over and over again, it just wouldn't be that interesting. So,
well, and also with the size of the crew that we have, it seems like everybody has their favorites. So, you know, if we build a truck, we have guys that are like crazy about trucks and they get excited. And these are when some ideas that maybe we hadn't think about come out. Or if we're building more of like a sports car or something like that, there's guys that are crazy passionate about those kind of cars. So, you know, you just kind of, like Dave said, you can just kind of be open and be fluid to the build, and you get these cool ideas and you run with them, and then they turn out to be bitchin' rides.
Oh,
yeah, that's
I
my
love
line.
the
That was
name
my
drop.
line. That was my line. Damn it.
Yeah, the branding's great. So one thing I really love about SEMA is, you know, you guys can get up close and personal with, you know, people that are aspirational. So let's say somebody in the audience here had a question. They want to become a restorer. They want to set up a shop. They want to emulate what you do. What would be the core advice you'd give someone?
Well, I mean, if you're going to go and start your own business, I think the one thing that I've always told everybody, and it sounds a little cliche like George McFly, but he said it himself the best, and that is that, Marty, you can do anything you want to. The only person that can keep you from doing it is yourself, right? And so when it really comes down to it, there was no reason for me to be where I'm at right now other than the drive and the heart and the spirit and great people that I work with and good support from my wife and my family. I had nothing. I started my business with $4,800 and a dream. I quit my job with 2 babies, a house payment and a car payment, and $4,800 after 8.5 years at a different business in a 401k. So I literally threw it all in and didn't consider that I could fail, and I wouldn't. And I bounced off the rev limiter lots of times. I fell down a lot of times, but I never gave up. And now I feel that we've accomplished what we really set out to, and we're able to dream as big as we want, and we can accomplish anything. So that would be my advice: is don't ever give up. Just keep going until you make it.
Yeah, and I mean, I used to just say, you know, work, 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 and that was very important. You know, it's like whatever you don't know in knowledge, make it up for and work. But I've kind of learned over the years is get a vision, visualize what you want to have, and go after it and make it yours 100%. And don't stop till it's yours. I mean, it's your vision, it's what you want, and just go after it, and don't let anybody tell you any different.
So your advice now has inspired one of our good audience members to now set up their own business. And they're standing in an empty workshop looking at you guys going, I'm here, I'm doing it. What's the practical in-workshop advice that you'd give them? The actual nuts and bolts of restoration. What's the stuff they're absolutely going to need to know?
You're going to need some tools. Actually, one of the best pieces of advice, because there's so many different directions you could go. If you're just doing performance stuff, or you're doing complete builds, you're just doing upholstery, or you're just painting the vehicle, whatever it is that you decide to do, however big or however small, do the very best you can. Don't ever, what I call, drop your pants. Always do the same quality. Don't give a discount. Take your time. Do it right. Make sure you're taking care of your customer. It'll come back tenfold. The next one after that. It was funny, as when we first started, I was borrowing the cars, and I was donating a little bit of money into the cars by overbuilding them, not getting paid, because I was at that time given more of a price quote, which was a mistake too. But what it did pay back is I had beautiful show cars to go to shows, and every time I'd put money into somebody else's project that was a good client and a good friend, I would borrow the car, go to a show, and I'd come back with 2 more builds. That paid off. So that was my advertising budget, is the way I kind of fixed it in my mind. So that's not a bad way to go if you can do that. If you've got a lot of money and you just have a lot of spirit and a lot of heart, build something really kick-ass and go out and show it, and stay true to your quality. Because as soon as you start cutting corners, you will be the last guy that gets called, or gal to get called, to build somebody's great car and give you no opportunity. So do it right the first time. Take your time. It was funny, as my father-in-law, Dick, he said, it's okay to do a good job, to take the time to do a good job. And I was like, well, I'm not sure exactly what that meant until further forward when I started my business, realizing you could hurry up and do it and mess it up, and then hurry and do it a second time and still have it not right. And doing it the third time, by the time you calculate all the time it took to do the job, you should have just taken the time the first time to do it right, and it would have been half as much of the time. So just like I say, don't drop your drawers, don't cut your quality. Always do the very best job you can and follow it through, and that job will come back over and over and over, that style of job.
So this is a question I'm sure you get asked loads of times. You start your business. How did it transition to television?
America's Most Wanted for him.
Have you seen his face?
Oh,
Have you seen his face?
Yeah, Kev Dog is now laying claim to the sex tape.
Different video. It doesn't matter. Anyway, you know what's funny is we were just really fortunate because we were very passionate about building ISCA styled street rods and show cars.
That's all we built was show cars.
And we really stood out. We caught the eye of Dennis Zarul from Hot Rod Television. And he kept putting a couple of our cars that were very notable builds in our early days on different television episodes of Hot Rod TV. We got noticed, did Car Crazy with Dennis Gage. My Classic Car with Dennis Gage, and then Car Crazy with Barry Maguire. But again, always a guest on somebody else's TV show. And we put out a media blitz that we were going to get a GM Futureliner opportunity to do a restoration on a very important piece of American history as well as automotive history. And Bob Scanlon and David Lee
saw my face again.
They recognized it from some bad movies, not necessarily available in your local store. I'm kidding. And so anyway, they gave us the opportunity to do a sizzle reel. They loved the way that we all worked together. They loved the layout of the shop. And we were already doing a lot of really great builds. We were getting a lot of notoriety. Certainly, it did not hurt to have bitchin' rides. And for 11 years now, we're in our 10th season. We filmed about a year before we premiered. It has been a wonderful experience. The Discovery family, Velocity, and now MotorTrend. It's been a wonderful experience. I look forward to going to work every day. I've got wonderful people that are in the film crew. We were actually filming here this weekend, and last night we actually did a premiere for one of our clients that lives down here. And it's just been a wonderful experience. I mean, it's brought us all a lot closer together, and it's a little hard to go grocery shopping anymore without getting noticed, but that's all right. So it's just it's been a great experience.
Well, I, for one, love watching you guys' show. I think it's epic. And we have to end on what is a relatively sensible question, because this looks like a sensible... No, it's not. They're not a sensible audience, but a sensible question. So, automotive culture, 120 years of cars have been built. Trends are always changing. One of the superpowers of being a car designer, a car builder, is to recognize trends that last or trends that are next. And how do you capture that trend? How do you build something that's effectively timeless?
Well, I think a perfect example is going to be our CF1 Corvettes. I took a car that was relatively impossible to get in if you were over 5'8" and over 200 pounds. You could not drive the car. And what we've done is we've taken a stock wheelbase, so stretched the cabin 4.5 inches, dropped the seat down 4 inches, chopped it, made it just super cool, all modern suspension. But we've been very successful with those, but I did not want to be the last guy, and I hope nobody hates on this, because unless you've tried it, you cannot knock it. I drove an electric vehicle. It was powered by Tesla, 500 horse, 800 foot-pounds of torque, 70 series tires, airbags, and a truck. Stock steering for a 1958 Chevy, by the way, is not good for autocross.
You almost wrecked it.
And brakes that are stock. But what I figured out is if you steer with the back wheels, it worked quite well. So I got back after almost crashing a friend's truck on an autocross at the Good Guys show. And I was about to build my CF1 number 3. And I was like, I want to do something that's unique. And I don't want to be the last guy that tries it because of being addicted to torque right out the gate from that drive. I hooked up with Hypercraft, which uses the 5-power Switzerland motors. They use those for the Formula E race cars. I've got 2 of those in there. I'm 580 horse. I'm 3,650 foot-pounds of torque. All C7 suspension in a car that weighs 3,200 pounds. And it is an absolute rocket. So,
Oh my God! So you're actually wearing the suit because you're going to court for speeding?
no,
Probably.
I'm going straight to jail for how fast I was going.
And I think that kind of just gets back to what we were saying before. It's like just taking modern technology and putting it in classic designs. It's just, I mean, it's the best of all worlds is how I look at it. You have a classic shell. They don't make cars like that anymore. And then you add this new technology into it. It's all a win.
Oh, guys, we could chat all day with these fellas. I really love spending time with them. I love bumping into you guys at SEMA. We always end up with some cocktails. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please put your hands together? Stars of Bitching Rides, Dave Kindig and Kev Dog.
For God knows where.
Right. Well, while those guys saunter off like a Milan catwalk, before we welcome our next guests on stage, we also have a little video to play. So please enjoy this little clip.
Hi, I'm Nads.
And I'm Amir.
Welcome to Super Street Garage. From the modest, brace yourselves, to the magnificent,
Amaze balls. Can I say that?
the world of Super Street.
This one feels fast.
Only on MotorTrend.
Gentlemen, could you please go crazy for Nads and Amir? Welcome, welcome. This crowd is poised and ready for the pearls of wisdom that are about to drop from your automotive mouths.
None of that.
Who laughed?
Oh, is this on already?
Yeah,
Watch
so...
out. I've had too many hot mic incidents.
Oh, no. Well, let's keep this family friendly. So, obviously, this is about automotive history, and I'm going to go straight to the million-dollar question. Where did your automotive journey start for each of you?
My dad got me into cars, like many of us here. And the oldest memory I have is driving through Glendora Mountain Road with in the same car that was my first car, and fell in love with driving. Bought the book Speed Secrets by Ross Bentley. Went up to that same mountain road for 2 years late at night, and started doing like track days, started racing, and got the bug that bit many of us, and just haven't stopped since.
Yeah, and for me, if anybody's old enough to remember, in Los Angeles, in an area of Los Angeles, the San Fernando Valley, there was a street called Van Nuys Boulevard. People used to cruise Van Nuys Boulevard. Some nobody named David Freiberger got his start on Van Nuys Boulevard as well. Pretty sure he would have stuffed my head into a locker when I went to high school with him. So when I saw the guys with the big V8s, muscle cars, didn't really gravitate towards them. Saw some people with 240Zs, 510s, Alfa Romeos, BMW 2002s. This is more my speed. Slow car, fast, replacement for displacement. And ever since then, I've been a firm advocate for small car, slow car, fast, sport compact, Fast and the Furious, Super Street, all of that.
So you guys start this automotive adventure. You've joined the car world. At what point did it transition from being a car guy to being a car guy on TV?
For him, much earlier than me.
Well, yeah, look at him. He's great.
You're one to talk, Ant.
Well, fuck.
You want to start?
God, you're the politest guests. Come on, talk over him. Tell us, how did you get on TV?
I got an email, and they were like, would you like to host a show? And I was like, well, I never thought about it. And then...
Hang on, this sounds like a scam.
Yeah, exactly.
Send the rupees.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, I camera tested, at which I did an absolutely terrible job and bombed completely, and Nad was there. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have recovered quite like I did. And... I think my passion for racing and cars and building them just transitioned into getting to help this guy.
Is this a true story? It sounds like
This is a true story. This is a true story. Amir did horrible. We were in what was called, they call it a chem test. It was a chemistry test to see how well the co-hosts do with each other. And myself and Amir went together, and I said, I don't care how, whatever he does, we could show him how to be on television. But beyond that, Amir's a builder, a driver, great-looking kid, presents well, very informative, presents the knowledge in an informative way that if you don't know what you're talking about, he'll make you feel like I could learn this and I can know what I'm talking about. But he was building a car for SEMA, and he was up for 40 hours, as he just did this year as well, and he was just a mess. He didn't read the script, and he didn't know what his lines were, and then I changed my lines, and then he got completely lost, and they were almost going to say, we don't know if Amir's the right guy, and I said, he's the right guy, he's the right guy, and I don't regret that for a moment, because he's been doing amazing on the show.
Thinking ads, love you.
Oh, do you guys want to get a room?
We already have one.
Okay, good. Yeah, we know who the big spoon is.
I think, I
I
thought we
don't
were
like
keeping
being
it
called.
family friendly, Ant. Also, my girlfriend's in the audience, so I don't want her to know anything about what happens on the show stays on the show.
Yeah, the first thing I said when he introduced me to his missive is, how? So we've learned a bit about Amir's story of getting on TV. What about yours?
For me, what does it actors say? I always want to direct. I never really wanted to be in front of the camera. Never really wanted to do this sort of work. Accidentally fell into it. I was at a Honda press conference, and because I was the editor-in-chief of Super Street, the magazine at the time, they said, you have to speak in front of everybody at one of these big SEMA presentations. And I bombed so horribly. It was so bad. And ever since then, I vowed that I don't like being on camera. I'm very nervous to be in front of all of you right now. I don't like doing any of this. I have a very shy, don't like being very outgoing. But I said, I'm not going to let that slow me down. And I pushed to overcome that. And somehow I ended up working with the team at Hoonigan, if anybody's familiar with Hoonigan. So I did a lot of YouTube stuff with them. And again, did so much stuff behind the scenes, built scripts and gags for the Gymkhana films and for a lot of the stuff that Ken Block did. And when it came time to be on the show, I would bring in some weird, random, rare cars that no one else on the show would know about. And they go, you'd have to host this one. I'm the world's oldest YouTube influencer, too. So I started doing YouTube, and that's sort of what set the path. And then I got the call to come back to Super Street. So I was actually the editor of Super Street in another lifetime. And then to come back and host the show, it's been like full circle to rejoin the MotorTrend family. A bit awkward to be on television for me because I come from a YouTube background where it's like, hello, fam, you know, let's see what's going on and take the camera around. You don't do that on TV. The first instruction they gave us was, we're doing what's called a locked off stand-up. And I'm like, locked off stand-up sounds so awkward to me and so forced, but Amir and I have pushed really hard to give the show sort of a fresh perspective. And even though we're on linear television, we push to give it more of that YouTube, TikTok, that sort of feel and everything. So we strive very hard at that, but that's how we ended up on television.
Yeah, it's interesting that you touch upon that because, you know, you guys are living this changing face of content. You know, TV is diving and, you know, YouTube content, social media is rising. And I find it interesting that you're trying to sort of grasp hold a bit of that. How do you manage that on a daily?
I'll let you start with that one.
Yeah, that one.
Leadership.
It is weird because when you talk about teaching an old dog new tricks, I feel like I came from new media and I'm coming back to traditional media. But I've seen just look at the staff of, you know, the teams that were on Hot Rod Garage. And we have Alex and Lucky here and Dave Kindig and Kev Dog and Freiberger and Finnegan and Tony Angelo and all those who came before us. And we're standing on the shoulders of these giants. And that, to me, I look at the way that they present. And it doesn't matter the medium if you're on, whether you're on linear cable or whether you're on a screen that you fit in your pocket. You should present in a way that you want to give your audience the most informative, engaging type of content that you can. So we strive very hard, whether we're on a television screen or a screen on your phone. We push very hard to make it very progressive, very youthful. But we also try not to alienate older demographic or a demographic that came from another generation, because that's the generation that I came from. So I have a certain fondness for old wheels, and we just did an episode, and Amir was so excited because he got to learn about dual side drive carburetors. You know, it was like his first time ever doing that. And I used to have cars with dual side drive carburetors, so for me it was like revisiting my past, and it's neat to share that with everybody. And, you know, they say that everything is cyclical, so even in the Super Street world, one of the cars that we did this year was a patina car. I said, why should the hot rod guys have all the fun? So we wanted to introduce our younger audience to what patina cars are and how and why they're so iconic and why they resonate with the audience that's here at SEMA.
So I really love the fact that you guys really dive into a diverse batch of cars. So let's say somebody out here wanted to, get into tuner modifications. With so many cars being so different, what's the kind of the main bit of advice you'd give someone who wants to become a tuner?
I would say pick a car that really you gravitate towards and something you would kind of want to go as crazy as you can with, because the cool thing about the tuner world is it has such a diverse kind of a diverse group of things you could build. Like we built a VIP car, which is essentially a slam car lifestyle in Japan, where they're kind of like Yakuza-style boss cars, huge wheels, on air, slammed, really cool. You can have the TikTok Miata thing, if that's what you're into. For me, it's always...
Yes.
Yeah. Not there's anything wrong with that.
You do.
In terms of like if you like to go racing, go to the track. There's so many amazing options. I'm a Honda guy, if you couldn't tell, as is Nads. And like, despite the fact that we absolutely love cars, he likes the clean, very nice style. For me, it's typically like my NSX is here, which is 2,000 pound, 800 horsepower car. That's very gnarly, and that's my style. But it's a place where you can really express yourself.
So it's fair to say that you guys are role models. These people have come to see you because they look up to you. This is the motivational speech part of your piece. I know it's frightening.
Choose better role models.
Yeah, it's frightening. Well, but what advice would you give people? And this could be not necessarily car related, just solid bits of advice, because I love hearing from people that are in the public eye.
So my path started quite differently. I was 20 years old, dropped out of college to help my family because we were essentially homeless, and chased my passion for cars. Essentially it was what I found my joy through and helped me pull through just about everything, and went from a kid that knew nothing about cars. I remember the first time I modified my car, I screwed something up in the engine, and I went straight to my bed and I laid down because I was like, I don't know what to do, and it was so sad. But read every book that I could, just chased my passion and really dedicated myself to it, and eventually got to the point where I went from a kid that knew nothing to now I race for multiple teams. I own my own shop. I host this. And I'm a race engineer as well for an Aston Martin GT4 team. So, you can kind of go from nothing to, I guess, where I am with just a lot of dedication.
Please, come on, a little round of applause. You've got, and a whoop.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to, same question to the wise old fox.
I don't know if I'm a wise old fox. I would say maybe do what I don't. I'm more of an exercise and cautionary tale. So for me, but the one thing I say, a lot of young people ask, how do you get into this business? How do you, I get a lot of that. And the one thing I say is, first and foremost, it's great to chase your passion. But at the same time, if you're not geared to be a wrench, don't try to be a wrench. If you're not geared to be a journalist or a writer, don't try to be in media. Chase your passion, but when you do, it's just not enough to quote unquote love what you do. I think nowadays, when we talk about the changing face of media, everything is at your fingertips. You don't need to go, and I think there's nothing wrong with like a UTI or a Lincoln Tech. I think I've met some incredible people that have gone through those programs, but they are expensive and it is an arduous path. But if you could immerse yourself into whatever your passion is, and you have to live for this and you have to sacrifice a lot. A lot of people look at Amir and myself and say, I wish I had you. You're so lucky. It's not luck. Like both of us have been very driven for decades, putting a lot of time and effort into this. And you have to be very, very driven and very committed to it, just like anything else. If you want to succeed anything else in life, you have to really pursue that passion. There's a lot of sacrifices that go on. Amir doesn't really talk about it, but when he first got started, like he's eating top ramen so he could afford tires, so he could drive on Glendora Mountain Road and ply his craft as a driver. And now he's one of the world's preeminent time attack drivers, not because he had money, which is usually where a lot of motorsports drivers start. I'm sorry to say, if you want to be a driver, you want to make $1 million in racing, make sure your family starts with $5 million. That's the way to get into it, unfortunately. But Amir took a different path, and he's actually faster than some of the, I'll say it, rich kid shoes, the gentleman drivers, and he did it by just sacrificing everything, completely being driven. Not to use that word, but to be driven to pursue his passion. So one thing I would say is just single-minded focus and just don't give up. It's it looks hard if you're sitting over there and you think about people sitting over here, but it's not. If you commit to something and you work hard enough, your work will shine through and you will find that path.
Watch them clap. So you've obviously leaked the NSX, great car by the way, and you know the JDM market. I think we can all safely say is buoyant. You know, there's a real love for it right now. A couple of questions: is it sustainable? Where's it going?
I would say absolutely. I mean, so much like when the hot rod market went crazy, it's a lot of guys that are my age now, and when we were 18, 19, these are the cars that we dreamed of and couldn't afford at the time. So now those guys are professionals, they own businesses, and they can afford these cars, and it's the reason why an Integra Type R now can go for $100,000, which is crazy. But I think we have quite a bit of sustainability with it, and the industry seems to continue to grow. And I mean, it seems like business-wise for a lot of the shops and guys in the industry that I know, they're doing like essentially their best years ever. So I think so.
That's encouraging for the industry. Well, you guys have a premiere coming up on November 10th on MotorTrend. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for. Can you put your hands together, please, for Nads and Amir? Keep clapping these fellas off stage. I love it when these guys come and give up their time at SEMA. Why are you leaving? We're not finished. Everybody turn, look at that guy, make him feel bad. Terrible. Right, before we get the next guests on stage, like before, we have another 30-second video, so please glue your eyes to the screen for the next video.
3, 2, 1. Restrictant lap was my hot lap. One of these buckets goes 11.
They're water heads. They set us up for the right spring pressure for the camshaft that we have.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know about 300 horsepower. The way that those things sounded, probably triple that. That was ridiculous.
I said we take it to the track.
Let's do it.
Victory is sweet.
Ladies and gentlemen, go wild, go crazy. Welcome on stage from Hot Rod Garage, Lucky and Alex. Yeah, let's go crazy. This is our final guests. Oh, this is great. These are our final guests, so let's insert a bit of energy. Alex, I'm going to go straight to you.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
So you've not only made a name for yourself as a...
Hi.
Listen, it's not about you. I think it's great you brought your granddaughter here. Stop it. Come on. I told you it's the last one. Anything goes. There's nothing you guys can do. You made a name for yourself as a skilled drag racer, but also as a builder and a fabricator. Tell us a bit about your journey. How did you get into it?
So I grew up in my dad's shop. From a couple weeks old, my dad built street rods, and I like to say I had like a 25-year apprenticeship getting to follow and learn and, you know, just watch him create. And it just gets in your blood, you know, that cliche. But I literally grew up in it, and I got to have hands-on from the very beginning. And I just found a way to make it my life, and that was the goal.
And Lucky, I'm a huge fan of your work, and you can clearly see when you watch you work, you are a skilled fabricator, skilled welder.
I know what his answer is.
You, sir, are thoroughly misinformed.
I knew it was coming.
Green screen is great. But let's say...
I wanted to compliment you about your hair, though.
Thank you.
I think we threw him off.
I don't know where to go now. So let's say, you know, you're an inspiration to many people, and I hear people reference your work. What advice would you give somebody that watches you work and says, do you know what? I want to do what Lucky does?
I mean, honestly, if you're going to get started in it, just be true to what you like. I mean, I didn't specialize in any one thing. I started getting in the cars because I wanted to have a car to drive. I didn't have a bunch of money and couldn't go buy anything, so I cobbled together pieces of crap and, you know, learned how to work on cars myself.
Yeah.
So you're both car people before TV, but when did it turn into TV? How did television start?
You know, it was accidentally. So my heart lies in drag racing. I love competing. I love drag racing. I love adrenaline. And growing up in the shop, you know, very similar. It's one of those, you know, my dad and I say on our last car we built, I want to go 6 seconds. I want to go 200. Well, we might not can buy the car, but we can build the car. And, you know, that's where that passion came from, was setting a goal and then figuring out how to achieve it. And yeah, so that's where it started for me, was trying to figure out how to do this and watching him, you know, always be able to solve a problem. And I love the creative side of it. And that's where we dove into it.
And when did that transition to television?
Oh, that's what you asked.
Oh my God, I asked a question.
I forgot the TV part. I don't have the answer. You know, it was last year. So the way it played out was last April.
Yeah,
Yeah.
position opened up on the show, and they had to interview. What were they called? Kim test.
Kim test.
You had to meet a bunch of very cool people that work on cars. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Then
yeah.
this girl came in, and they're like, "We're going to put that engine in that car because that one has a window in the side of the block," and that was, I think, the only clue. And she was like, straight up, "Let's snatch these heads off. We're going to put ARPs. These are torque to yield. We can't use those multi-layer head gaskets, and we're going to cut this and move that. And this, oh, this is the 4th gen. That's great." I was just like, "Get her, get her."
That's really how it played
If
out.
we can get her for a couple of seasons, that will be great because she's skyrocketing.
Whatever. But no, it was funny how it played out because it was very, you know, I just had a passion on the other side, and TV accidentally came to be last year. So, yeah.
So that chem test was all successful.
It worked out well.
And what about yourself, Lucky? When did the TV door come knocking for you?
So I've always had a business called Mobile Technician, and I was working on cars. Just they call me, and I go work on them. Somebody called and said, "Can you come look at some cars we have in a warehouse?" And they were 6, 8, or 10 cars that were left over from overhauling. Mark Oya was the person I met, and I gave them the "don't ever call me again" price to straighten them all out. And they wrote me a check and asked me if I would work on the show, and I went from that to same thing, working off camera on Hot Rod Garage, and I guess the SAR cam kicked in, and they hired me full time.
Yeah, you can't deny talent. I mean, look at this. We would all watch this.
I mean, it sounds like, you know, like the way you set that question up, we should have some really glorious story of how we went through, you know, did this and did that. But at the end of the day, it was following what, you know, my passion is. He had his passion.
I just stumbled in,
honestly.
honestly.
Yeah, it's like you run into it by doing what you love, kind of. Is where we ended up.
It's a very familiar
And
story.
your thing and your dad's deal, it's definitely good parenting. Just going to say that.
Thanks.
So of all the available race disciplines out there in the world, you know, the number of different motorsports you can do, why do you choose drag racing?
So I've had the chance this year to try many different disciplines. I've been land speed racing, off-roading. We get to do all kinds of cool stuff on the show, be it drifting or whatever it may be. And I can honestly, truly say, like, drag racing stays at my core. I love acceleration. For me, it's unmatched. I felt the other, you know, thrills from the other stuff, and something about making a car work. You know, drag racing, you have to make it work for that surface, and you have to think quickly. And I love the speed of it. So, yeah.
And Lucky, are you much of a driver?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, technically, I'm a professional race car driver. Yes, I am. And I just recently became a professional. What did we do last?
I love that he doesn't know.
Actually, he's a professional stuntman.
I'm a stuntman. I just jumped the car 50 feet.
He did do that.
Yeah.
I rode with
We
him.
did rally race, professional rally racer. They paid me.
And are you competent? Is he fast?
Incompetent, I believe, is the word you're looking for.
I'm a solid 4.
Yeah.
We have a good time with it, though. We do really get to do a lot of cool stuff on the show. This year, we have done everything from attempting land speed. We didn't get to make it out to El Mirage. We get to do road course and autocross and drag racing and
Dirt rally.
We did do dirt.
Went off a jump in a police car that we borrowed from another show.
They told us, they said, it'll be super easy. You're going to have a really nice landing. It's not going to hurt.
No, still hurts.
They lied. It hurt.
Well, we're kind of in the midst of this changing move in the automotive world, particularly to alternative power. And I think we'd probably agree having an electric drag car is probably exhilarating because of the instant power. She gives me the weirdest face there.
That's not a weird face. I see it often.
Yeah. Well, we'll touch on that in a second.
Choose your words carefully.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
Just move away.
Is she
Move
looking
away
at me?
slowly. How do you think? Are you embracing these changes right now in the automotive world, Lucky?
I think there is definitely a place for electric on buses and taxis and stuff like that. I don't remember the last time I went to a car show and somebody said, "Wow, nice battery." Never happened.
I think it's no secret.
Wait a minute. If we're going to let that one linger, you might as well clap. Yeah, spot the Tesla owner in the room. Where are you?
I mean,
It's Halloween. We will stake them.
it's no secret, though. We did get to, sorry, guys, we de-electrified Project X this year.
Yes, we did.
And so I think it's no secret that definitely, I know at my core, I love the smell of gasoline and that kind of power. But at the end of the day, like, it's not a replacement as long as you look at it as an addition to the industry in the sense that there's a place here and there's a place there, and I can still have my gas, you can have your electric. It allows more people to come into the industry. And at the end of the day, the more people we can get, cool. It's an addition. It's not, we just don't want to replace,
Alex Taylor, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think SEMA, it's not really a clear divide, is it? So do you think that this move, and not particularly electrification, like autonomous driving, that's kind of current right now. All these modern advances, how are they impacting our world? Oh gosh.
Do you want to go or me?
Is she looking at me?
I'm looking at you.
I haven't had actually any experience with that at all yet. So.
Oh, I mean, I haven't had any experience with autonomous driving. For me, on that side, I like driving. So.
Yeah, I think I'll just share a very quick story. I was working on an autonomous project about 10 years ago, and I reached out to Rolls-Royce because I had a friend there because I heard that they were working on an autonomous driving project. And I emailed them and said, "Are you guys working on a driverless car?" And the reply from Rolls-Royce was, "We invented the driverless car 100 years ago. We use a system with a peaked hat and white gloves."
Nice. Perfect.
I'll show you the email after. It's
nice.
Great. So hot rods, they are synonymous with creativity and individualism. As a customization landscape evolves, how might hot rod enthusiasts push the boundaries of innovation while staying true to the genre's heritage? What a question. I know,
that
right?
That was a long one.
Did you write that?
Do you want to go? Or do you want
Oh, no.
Oh, you do. You do.
I very much do not want to answer that.
So basically,
Okay.
in the core hot rod world, how do you continue to push it by staying true to the ethos of hot rods?
So at the end of the day, I think that you're not really going to do something new. It's like the other day, for example, I was at EFI University with Ben Schrader, and we were talking about how they're using clamshell cam bearings. And it seemed like this new idea, and I was learning about it, and I'm like, this is cool. Well, then we ended up looking at our 23T Roadster and was looking at, parts from it, and it was clamshell bearings for the cam. And it just goes to show that's a very simple thing, but stuff cycles back around, and at the end of the day, somebody did it at some point. It's just taking your touches and mixing the old with the new and spinning it, so.
What she said.
I see how this works now.
Yes.
Yes, the chemistry test was great.
He usually
Successful
says,
friendship.
Tell me a story, Alex.
Some call it lazy. So we've heard a lot about your careers. Tell us a bit about your private stuff. Like, what car do you own?
I have a couple. I have a 66 Chevelle Pro Charge. Shout out. It's all ride tech and full cage, and it's a fun driver. It's not shiny at all. It's actually pretty shiny underneath, but the outside, I painted it with what I had, which is the stuff they paint inside small block Chevys, so you can see cracks. Holds up really well. It's been like 7 years.
Really?
Yeah. And then I drove here in my 67 C10, a retired Los Angeles County fire truck. They used it to service fire hydrants in the 70s and 80s. And it is around 800 horse, Magnuson 2300, Ace Racing motor, full suspension QA1. And keeps up with new Dodges on the freeway. Rumor has it.
And supposedly and allegedly does really good burnouts.
Rumor has it, yes.
What about yourself?
So for me, I'm more drag racing based. So I have a 55 Chevy tube chassis car that we do drag and drive events with. So drive at 1,000 miles, race it. It's a 6-second, 200-mile-an-hour mile car. I have a 68 Camaro that I drove to high school. And then I just got the regular, like, tow truck. And
Oh, wait. Elaborate on that 68 Camaro you drove to high school.
the twin turbo LS 68 Camaro that I drove to high school.
Like you do, you know.
I came from a small town, okay? You can park it in the parking lot and it was fine. But, yeah.
I bet you were never late for school.
She opened her hood at an event that we were both at, and I just closed mine.
Oh, yeah. It was cool. It was cool, though, you know? Like, to get to drive stuff like that to high school, you hear parents all the time say that they put their kids in, like, a really, you know, beat-up car. So that way, if they wreck it, it's fine. But my dad put me in a car that me and him built. And so you have that appreciation. So I did not want to hurt that car. You know? It's the opposite.
They say built is better than bought.
True.
So let's say you get given a blank canvas. You can have any car you want. Lucky, right now, you're not paying for it. You just get the car you want.
You know,
What's
it
the one
changes
car?
all the time. I mean, I'm building, don't judge me, people, Datsun pickup truck.
No,
right
they're
now.
going to judge you. Look at him. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
He's like,
I hunted high and low for 10 years, and I found a 64 two-door station wagon, so I'm doing that right now. And in addition to that, I'm doing a Datsun pickup truck, just to have a more eclectic collection in the garage.
I see how you slipped that in there at the end.
And a Datsun pickup truck.
and what about you? Blank canvas. You can have anything.
Do I have to pick one? That's
Yeah,
the problem.
yes, that's
okay,
the
so that's the
question.
problem. I can't. That's the problem. Everybody always asks, like, what would you want? And my problem is I go land speed racing, and I'm like, I want a land speed car. And then I go drag racing again. I'm like, well, I need another drag car. 55 Chevy was my dream car growing up, and I have that now. But I'd honestly like to do something like, I don't know. Do I have to pick? I can't pick. I can't answer your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's how this works.
I can't. Sorry.
Okay, so
tuned.
you can only do one forever, build or drive.
Wait.
I
say
know
that
everyone's
again?
like, whoa, you have to pick one forever. One has
It's
to
got
go.
dark fast in here.
I know. It's depressing.
Build or drive.
Build or drive? Is that the question, or which car?
That's the question.
Build or drive?
You have
can
to
either be a
drop driving
builder-
or drop building. Which one are you dropping?
Ooh.
I
That's
know.
a bad question.
It's Halloween. I don't know what to say.
That's scary. Let's do.
Okay, while you're thinking about that, Lucky,
I would give up driving
You give.
that was really quick.
to just build stuff.
I don't know.
Everyone is now pinned on your answer because this is the final question. You have to drop one. One has to go. It's Halloween. You've lost the privilege of one of them.
You're going to lose the shop.
Guys.
Guys, put some pressure on her. Just start like slowly clapping.
Well, it's depressing every way I look at that. I guess. Okay. Drop. Yeah.
Well,
that guy.
no, what
that
are you,
guy.
a lawyer?
That one. That one. Sorry. That was the answer.
Is he your lawyer? I found a technicality in the question. Ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time. It's Lucky and Alex from Hot Rod Garage. Their show premieres on December 22nd. And unfortunately, thank you so much. You got to drop one, guys. Please continue clapping as we see them off stage. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. It's such a pleasure when we get to see some people that we admire on television. Thank you for sitting through that. Enjoy the rest of SEMA, enjoy the rest of Vegas, and remember, it never happened here in Vegas.